So this was definitely interesting, and as I make these videos, I hope you understand how a lot of things happen that were basically propaganda and lies. For example, I'm immune to it. Most I got is a sore throat when I wake up in the morning, and after 5 minutes, it's gone. Then you got my son who got it. He had it for 4 or 5 days. It was mainly like the flu. It really didn't hit him all that hard. 27 years old, good immune system. Then you got my wife who basically kicked the shit out of her, put her on new medicine, and she's starting to do a lot better. But you think about this, we have three levels. So now let's think about when it actually hit. We had people that were saying, I'm working around people with cv19 and nothing happened to me. It must be a facade. It must be a lie. The government's out to get you. And they're making all these videos telling people it's no big deal. Then you've got people like my son who had it where it was like the flu. They're making videos saying, well, it's just like the flu. I don't know what everybody's crying about. I mean, it must be a bunch of lies from the government. And these people really believe this in their mind. And then you got my wife who was hit so hard they put her on a different medicine to try and keep her out of the hospital, which actually is working quite well. Now, the government failed at explaining this to people. They failed miserably. I don't think they understood it. I don't know. It just seems like the government really failed and allowed these propaganda people to flourish. And that was the problem. Then they tried to do control by controlling social media to stop these people from reporting this stuff because it was doing enough tough. Because it was doing more harm than it was good. So I can see how all this got out of hand on what's going on. Now, this is here to stay. And if you truly, truly care about getting CV19, the only way that you're going to fight it is basically make your lungs strong. It gets into your lungs, and that's it. If you smoke, you're basically setting yourself up for being really sick or becoming one of the 1.2 million people that died. You cannot argue about the numbers. No matter who wants to talk propaganda about this CV19, there are 1.2 million people dead. These were probably the elderly. They were probably people that had autoimmune diseases. They were probably people that had weak lungs. I mean, it was probably people that were sick. And that's the very, very sad part. Now, as usual, there's nothing with a blanket statement. I'm sure he's the odd one that got it really bad. And the person was completely healthy to the day until they got it. They really don't understand how this is going to hit people. Now, I don't know if they got this, but do they have a way to test me to find out why I'm completely immune to it? Why didn't I get it? I mean, I was around two people that were continuously contagious. If we had a test for that, then we could test our healthcare workers and test the ones that are immune to it, like myself, and they could be used to be on the floor when that actually breaks out and they can actually take care of it. And it's less risk to the healthcare worker. They didn't even do that. They just kind of threw them all out on the floor, paid them extra money and everything. It was ridiculous. But my son's doing great now. No problems with him. My wife, she was up walking around today. She was petting her cats outside in the yard. She was sitting on the front porch. She was out here for about a half an hour. She's still drained. She's not even close to 100%. I would say she's probably about 50%, but she's still drained. And that's my son what he said. He says you feel like you're a drained battery. He says even when you think you're okay, you still feel like you can't really walk or you're woozy or you're dizzy. Was the best way he explained it. So all three of us had the vaccine. I had a vaccine and a booster over a year ago. My son did too. My wife had a vaccine and a booster and a third booster, is what she had. And Did that make a difference? Because my wife didn't have to be hospitalized. I never got it. My son got it like a flu. I mean, so you can argue and say, no, the vaccine don't work. Yet 85% from what I Googled, 85% of all Americans actually got the vaccine. Now, I do hear them talking about some big outbreak in China, and everybody's using that as fear porn. But you have to understand, the United States offered China our vaccine. They turned it down because of their cockiness. They said, oh, we got our own. We don't need yours. Theirs didn't even work. Theirs was nothing but a bunch of lies to the people that they shot them up with sugar water and basically allowed them to just die by the millions. Now you're getting crazy numbers right now. They're saying 45 million, they're saying 65 million. Crazy numbers China's putting out. This is not going away. And the government is failing on explaining this to people. Now, if the United States has it less than China, well, this doesn't take a rocket scientist. Common sense says if 85% actually got the vaccine, it's obviously working. Because our numbers are nowhere near as high as China or where China is actually going to go. So that is interesting. Now, the cv19 mutates constantly. So did this mutate into a lesser strain? And that's why I didn't get it, and why my son barely got it, and my wife's okay? But I've never heard of that, when it comes to viruses. Normally they mutate and get stronger and stronger and stronger, where our vaccines don't even work. That's normally what I hear. So a lot of this still doesn't make sense. And I don't think anybody really has the true answers on what's going on. You would think they'd have a lot more information from all the data they could have collected from this. And that's the strange thing. But like I said in my last video, if you smoke and you're getting the vaccine, you're kind of defeating the purpose. This is like, to me, it's a lung disease from what I'm seeing. This gets into your lungs. This really messes you up. So you want your lungs to be as strong as possible. So no smoking. Quit it. I do a lot of walking. I usually walk every day unless it's really terrible weather. So, I mean, is it the walking? Is that helping to make my lungs stronger? My wife doesn't go with me and walk. She stays home. My son does go with me and walk. So is that basic exercise part of what's doing it? And that's something to consider. But I can see now why you had so many different people making these YouTube videos and they had no ideas what they were talking about. From the guy that was completely immune to it, thinking the government was out to get him, to the guy that got it like a flu and thought the government was out to get him. And then you had the one that was like, oh my God, I almost died. And then you got the one where they did die. So this thing's all over the place. If you really want to prepare yourself and you want to make yourself strong for this thing, take a vitamin C every day. I take a one-a-day men's. I also take a fish oil, and I take a vitamin D once a week. I would say definitely take some vitamins. I would say go out for a walk and exercise. It can be a mild workout. It doesn't have to be something where you're working out like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Just some simple walking will help you out. And you are going to get this. That's all there is to it. So you can prepare your body for when you do get it to make yourself as strong as possible. Like I said, by quitting smoking. If you drink a lot of alcohol, if you're an alcoholic, consider getting rid of that. You're making your body weak. Alcohol is poison. If you drink a lot of soda, stop drinking soda. Soda's horrible for you, or at least try cutting it down in moderation to the point where you can quit it. Really start looking at what you can do, and I'm not talking about turning into a health nut. I'm just talking about changing a few things in your diet and things that you know are horrible for you. Because when this comes around, if you haven't caught it yet, when you do get it, at least you're giving your body a good shot. But we're all doing good. My wife is probably up to about 50% now, and she's able to walk around. She's been sitting outside, so it looks like we're all going to be fine. And we're going to be a lot more careful on different crowds we go into, and We're just not going to go where other people are going. We're going to be we're going to we're I thought it was pretty much gone, but it's not. So we're going to tighten up again like we did the first 2 years because we never caught it. So there's a little update, guys. Catch you on the next one.